Some of you know that my wife and I recently moved to Albania from Guam, and Guam's where this channel's been based for the last couple of years, and it's a lovely, lovely place. But we needed another location, somewhere that was a little bit cheaper to live so that we could work for ourselves rather than working for somebody else. So we moved to Albania, and specifically to the town of Vlora. More videos about Vlora in the future, but this weekend I had the chance to visit the city of Pogradec, which is on the other side of the country from Vlora. It's about 3.5-hour drive, and I wanted to take you along with me and show you some of the scenes. It's a beautiful city, so come along. So as I mentioned, we started off in Vlora. Vlora is a beautiful city, sits along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea, or more specifically the Adriatic Sea. And so it's on the southwest side of the country. We were going to Pogradec, which is on the southeast side of the country. And we went up through the city of Vir and Lushna, and then cut across through Elbasan, and then finally made it down there. The city is really beautiful, and the location where it sits is really beautiful. It actually sits on a small plain between two mountain ranges. And those mountain ranges mark some of the border between Albania and North Macedonia. The roads to get there were pretty good. We actually went with some friends from church, so we had some experienced Albanian drivers to get us there, which was nice because driving in Albania can be a little bit crazy. But this route was pretty straightforward and pretty drivable for anybody. The city of Pogradec sits on Lake Ohrid, which is a very ancient lake. It's one of the oldest lakes in Europe. It's also very deep. It's about 1,000 feet deep. And there's several very interesting things about the lake. One, there's a spotted trout species that are pretty good to eat, and I'm pretty sure that we ate some on the last night of the conference that we were there. It's also, the lake and the regions around it are very historically significant, and they're listed on the UNESCO World Heritage Site, or rather they are a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So they're protected and they're conserved, because of their historical significance. The Via Ignatia, which is an old ancient road, maybe you've heard it referred to as the Ignatian Way. It was a road from basically Istanbul to Durrës, which is right across the sea from Italy and Albania, and some cities like Thessalonica, Philippi, Apollonia, they all sit along this Ignatian Way. And if you read the Bible, the Apostle Paul most likely took this road as he was traveling on some of his missionary journeys. And so that road is just to the north of Lake Ohrid, and that's part of the reason that the lake and all of that area is historically significant. The ancient Illyrians, the people who inhabited the Albanian region and where they suspect the Albanian language originated from, the ancient Illyrians had a castle and kind of a civilization up in the hills around Lake Ohrid. So the name Pogradec comes from Po, which means under or beneath, and then Gradec, which means town or city. So it's the city underneath the castle or the ancient civilization. Now, I was staying on the east side of the city, and I didn't have a chance to see the whole thing because I only had really one part of an afternoon to see as much as I could. So I basically walked along the beach line, which is a very popular location, and then I walked through the city a little bit, and then I walked up to the mountain, or to the large hill on which the ancient castle stood. So that's the route that you'll see in the pictures. And it was a very overcast day the way that I went, so the mountains were covered by clouds. It was also somewhat cold. There was a little bit of snow. It was threatening rain, and probably not the nicest day ever to be out walking around, but I enjoyed it even still. So my impressions of the city, I gotta say, I really enjoyed being there. To me, it felt like stepping out of the city and going to more of like a rural town, if I could compare it to something in the United States. When I was there were people seemed to be friendlier. Here in Vlora, maybe just because I look like an American, I don't often have people come up and say hi on the street or start conversations with me. But in Pogradec, Several people, nodded or waved or said hi to me, even though I wasn't making eye contact with them. It just seemed like it was much more friendly. And I've heard that the people in Vlora are a little bit more standoffish, probably because it's more of a tourist town and probably for a lot of reasons. But definitely gave me that smaller town feel where everybody says hi to you, and you'll be familiar with that if you're familiar with the States. It was just a charming place. I felt like the architecture was charming. I think the weather probably contributed to that because there were a lot of people inside drinking coffee. There were a lot of fires burning, which was interesting to me. You could smell the wood-burning stoves and the wood-burning heaters throughout the city. In multiple locations in the city, I saw people selling firewood, people chopping firewood, and then chimneys going, which gives a certain ambiance to the city, at least in my mind. But yeah, very charming, very small town-esque. The drive to get there was really beautiful. I grew up in Ohio, so I'm not used to seeing like proper snow-capped mountains and driving through those mountains and the views that you get from them. And so that was definitely special. You drive through some legitimate mountains as you make this journey, and so that was really enjoyable. I gotta say, overall, it was just a beautiful place. I wish I could have spent some more time there. There's several locations and museums that I wanted to check out, but I didn't get a chance to do it. I just had a really, really pleasant experience there, especially with how nice the people were. I had a conversation with one Albanian guy who had spent some time in California, and between my terrible Albanian and his English, which was minimal, we figured out a little bit about each other, and it was just nice to make a connection with a local guy. He lived there in the city, and he had some kids that lived in California and some kids that lived in Albania, and it's just a pleasant experience. So if you ever get the chance to go to Pogradec, I'd absolutely tell you to do it. It's beautiful, and it definitely has a different feel than some of the other locations. Now, I can't say what it would be like during the season when the tourism picks up, because I imagine there is a good bit of tourism there because of the lake. But having gone in March, when there weren't a lot of tourists, I really enjoyed it. So if you enjoy a slower pace of life and a beautiful city and some historical sites to go check out, Pogradec might be a place where you should go. What's really incredible is that the mules that I had the video of before carrying the wood, they travel down the same path. You can see it drops off right there, and I can tell because there's mule droppings all along that trail. So they don't take the wide road, they take the one I took, and clearly I'm not as nearly in as good a shape as the mules with a pack of logs on their back. You can see their tracks through here and the droppings they leave behind. Well, apparently this is what's left of the castle. I'm not gonna say I'm disappointed, but okay. How insane would it be to have your castle up here? Just be like, I'm the king, come attack me, come try. This looks not very ancient, it must be a monument. I'm gonna guess this says Muharrem Castle. It's my best Albanian translation for you. But yeah. Alright, well the castle's not that impressive, but the view is pretty nice. So this is the city of Pogradec,
This is where I'm staying. We're at like a church conference kind of over here with some like young adults. This is Lake Ohrid. I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong. And it sits right on the border of, sorry about the police officers, apparently somebody's committing crimes in Pogradec. All right, so this is Lake Ohrid, and on that side, that is North Macedonia. So this lake sits right on the border. It's one of like the oldest lakes in Europe, supposedly. And there's a bunch of towns all around it, and it's a beautiful location. It's cloudy today and overcast, but this mountain range here also is one of the designators of the border between, what country am I living in? Albania on this side, and then North Macedonia on this side. The route here that I took up, there's a longer route, but I need to shave some time off because I have some stuff to do at this conference. And this is the path that I walked along the beach. So now I'm going to take this main road back to the place where we were staying. So wish me luck that I don't fall down the hill.